Greetings, I am Lies and I use she, her.
And I am Scandal and I use they, them.
And let's play a game together!
Yes, welcome back you guys to the second episode of Meeting in the Flesh, where we are going to be leading up to Motya Awakening by InkEthic Studios.
Yes!
Oh, and real quick, we actually discovered that the last time we played Meeting in the Flesh was over a year ago.
It was.
We went and 2 years ago, actually.
Our date. So the last time we played this was over 2 years ago, and
It has been some time.
It has been an amount of time, and we're excited to play it again. We are also really excited for InkEthic's new release.
Yes.
All right.
I've been delivering salt for several years now. Though I was uncertain when an acquaintance first suggested the job to me, I've really warmed up to it since then. The workload is consistent and predictable. My boss is nice, if a little gruff, and the neighborhoods I deliver to are full of friendly people.
Hey, starting your round for today?
Yup. Have a good morning.
You too!
My hind claws dig a little into the ground, kicking up small clumps of dirt with each step. I quickly fall into a comfortable, galloping gait as I take a hard left outside the salt processing plant and start heading down the street. Huge slabs of buildings loom overhead on both sides. This block doesn't have many residents, as it's mostly factories. I pass by those quickly. No deliveries to make just yet. But I do have one delivery to make up at the corner ahead.
I do also want to know what the other factories make. Like, is it a clothing factory? Are they like, what's considered a factory here? And I'd be very interested.
I would be too. The building at the very end of the block is smaller. Its outer walls off-white instead of a murky beige. It's not very tall either, but it does have an awesome structure sprouting from its top. A giant tower clawing up towards the sky, made of bone and coated with smooth flesh. An enormous pair of antennae protrude from the tip of the tower, their chitinous shells gleaming faintly in the sunlight. They whip back and forth at random intervals, as if raking through the air. The numerous eyeballs at the antenna's base also blink frequently, their irises swiveling around to survey their surroundings. One of them whirls around to look me over when I approach, and I give it a small wave.
All right, we're gonna hide the text here real quick,
so you can actually see.
So you can see the tower in the back. It's pretty cool.
So it's this guy. Thing.
So
this is the building we have made our way to, and I love this building. This building is great. I also love the fact that honestly these backgrounds were really charming because you could come back and go, oh, I get to learn something new about the landscape, and there's more to look at, because because before it was just the background, right? It was just sort of a filler.
The first time we played this game and that was being described, we didn't have any idea which building Bill was talking about, or necessarily what we were looking at, but yeah, this...
Well, we also initially didn't actually know how to hide the text.
We did,
even though it's right there.
And so we weren't paying attention to that, because we were, the first time we played
amazed.
We were performing it live on Twitch.
Yeah.
And so we didn't take a lot of time to just enjoy it, because, we were trying to get started.
Yeah.
And there's some really cool stuff to experience in here.
As they say, that if one is going to perform a thing, either be really comfortable with performing a thing and just leave it as it is, or two, have read the thing or watched the thing multiple times so you can actually get a good feel of it.
Yep.
Anyway, the front entrance to the building has a small sign carved into it. The sign reads, Community Overlook Center. I open the door and enter. Foosh. Yes, the office's interior is much cozier. The air clean and warm.
I love this one.
This one is
so fascinating.
Good. I love this area so much. Also, again, I appreciate that you don't see anyone here, but I also understand the choice not to. Because they always got the impression there's always lots of people in here.
And they make it very clear in the text. And in some games, when they're describing lots of people there, it feels weird to have empty spaces. But I feel like in this one, it works. And I haven't been able to exactly put my finger on it, other than that they're very consistent with just showing the character you're talking to and still describing the presence of other people, so you know that it's a game convention, whereas some of the other ones, they jump back and forth between sometimes there's people here and sometimes there's not.
They're actually a constant presence in the text, and they don't seem to forget about it.
Now that I think a little deeper on it, There's an experience that's happened in a number of Otome games and visual novels that we've played where it'll say there's other people everywhere, but none of them ever interact. They're not real people.
Yeah.
In here, your background and invisible characters, the ones that aren't rendered in the scene, still sometimes talk and interact and do things. And you'll see a lot more of that as we get through the game. And it brings them to life without it feeling like the background's missing something for me.
I think also at the same time, too, there's a lot more trust, basically, with the writer. So we've talked about this in multiple cases where sometimes you can stand basically a convention from a certain author because you know they're doing something with it. Where we've met, I will say loosely, other writers through their work, where it feels sort of like it is a sort of strange absent choice to not mention people, and because of their other choices we take it more, I would guess, personally, because it feels so empty. It feels much more hollow and less involved.
Sometimes it feels like something is just being forgotten rather than deliberately chosen.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
The air is clean and warm. There are a few desks littered with papers, workers busily reading over their contents and filling out other forms. This place always looks busy when I come by. Never hectic, though. Despite the steady bustle of productivity, things always seem in control. Not that I know these workers very well. I do wave at a vaguely familiar face, but head straight to the far corner where the tower control pod sits. Since we've now mentioned it, now we'll show it.
So yeah,
and we'll point it out. So this is the tower control pod.
So one of the neat things is, like, the tower on top of the building is in the corner, and so this is also in the corner of the building. And so that's where that's basically the entity of the tower. It's pretty cool.
I also will say that I really do, I don't know how to explain how many times where my friend and I have been playing a game and they will mention some background detail and we'll go, why didn't you put it in there? If it's that huge, that impressive, that the big huge focal point, whatever it is.
Right.
And I really appreciate it. Again, they don't have everything in here, so I will, that is an awareness thing, but it does still feel very deliberate. These are very important objects, these are things your character is going to comment on, and these are the things that are important to the story, while in a lot of other games, we have actually struggled sometimes going, there's like nothing here. Like some of them, because they're, basically made from Otome game basically generators, where people just make their own game based off of other people's assets, and it's not really their own. They're just sort of adding a couple of things.
And so they're just kind of lifting ideas without fleshing them out.
Yeah, and it feels really empty like that, too.
It also sort of just feels like there's things that are dropped or missing frequently, and going, was this important? And if it wasn't, why was it mentioned? You know? Alright.
But head straight for the far corner where the tower control pod sits. The pod's nerves crawl up the walls like a giant spiderweb, thick cables of flesh burrowing into the smooth rock surface. The pod itself is a giant oblong shape coated in flesh and pulsing gently. The eyeballs embedded in its surface flicker about languidly, a few of them fixing on me as I approach, though they close wetly after a few moments of staring. They probably don't want to get squished when the pod opens. There's a loud squelch of fluid, slick flesh when the pod splits open at its center, its two halves neatly sliding apart like a beetle's carapace. A wall of hot, damp air bursts outward as the pod opens.
Which probably, after coming in from the cold streets, is sort of nice.
I honestly
just be like, sauna.
Right. The interior of the pod is oozing with fluid, drips out of it. Hang on.
Drips of it,
spilling out to dot the floor. A thick coating of it obscures the shape of the person sitting inside until he sits up and stretches his arms. Fluid comes sloughing off in sheets, spilling back into the pod's interior as he rises to his feet. There's two wet plops of suction as he detaches the pod's nerve cables attached to his temples.
Also, like, basically the experience here is that you've got this thick viscous fluid, or basically like your slime, your play slime, that you would see like on YouTube and stuff, and it's just squishing down into it, and it just all comes off of you.
I feel like I'm on Nickelodeon Slime Time again.
I see. It's just it feels like a very clean experience, though, as far as like,
oh yeah,
it might be able to like ooze out of the pod or whatever, but like it's not like covering the person, and I find that very cool.
Hi, Yeastel. Yeastel towers over me when he straightens up to his full height, the bones of his feet clicking gracefully on the floor when he steps out of the pod.
Phil,
He's very pretty.
Good morning, Phil.
He always talks gently, his voice low. It's a little hard making out what he's saying if the office is ever really busy, but it does make him sound very reassuring, especially when he smiles a little.
Diligent as ever, I see.
Yistel leads the way to a table nearby. It's far enough from the pod that there isn't any danger of fluid splashback, which is good. Salt doesn't hold up well to anything wet, and I have a lot of salt to drop off here. My bundle's heavy from a day's worth of salt, and I'm looking forward to lightening it, significantly. I start undoing the fabric knot to put the bundle down on the table.
I love this idea of just being like, I'm carrying like 50 pounds of salt, basically your dog food bag of salt or something like that, and going, if I can drop off the first 20 pounds here, that'd be amazing.
I said, how are things looking today? He gives a small sigh at that, just a warm puff of air that escapes past chitinous lips.
I haven't spotted any real troublemakers, but there's certainly a buzz in the air. There does seem to be a little crowd congregating just north of here, so I might have to send someone to check it out later. Hopefully it's just a friendly gathering, so I can leave it be. I'd hate to have to get anyone in trouble just before the eclipse.
Now we have to nod sympathetically or agree with leniency.
Or suggest an action. That's 3 choices.
Yes.
Yes. So, I actually kind of enjoyed this one, as far as the choices were concerned. They came fairly regularly, which I enjoy in a visual novel, but also, like, they're distinctive from each other.
Yes.
But also, they're not, like, absolute things.
And the thing is also they go suggest an action, or you can nod sympathetic, so it, like, gives you some sort of clue towards what the intent is, rather than just going, agree.
Or disagree. I would say these are neat because I like the way the author decided to write the various choices in this game in a lot of cases, because they give you an idea of emotional tonalness more than other games do for me.
Yes.
And that's really nice.
All
right, you're playing Vil. What do you think?
Well, I think, let's see. So, Vil up to this point is just really happy about getting stuff done. Also seems fairly comfortable with Yistel. And I think could actually, like, really have some sympathy here of going, you know, there's a lot to do, and there's a lot to be aware of. Like,
I could totally see if Vil's in his position of going, work decisions are tough and need to be made thoughtfully, being sympathetic, because Vil does focus a lot on work and their own job, so that could be reasonable.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Nod sympathetically. I don't fully understand Yistel's job, so all I can do is offer sympathy. Because sometimes that makes sense, because they've also said, I don't really know everybody here.
It can also be difficult to offer a suggestion if you don't really know what the person is doing.
No, and sometimes actually when people offer, like, there is something to having basically what in the workforce they call a layman. But you have to have a very specific kind of layman, and also someone who is at least somewhat familiar with various different things in order to make a really effective sort of, like,
usually the layman,
action
doesn't necessarily offer a suggestion so much as ask a question that no one else will ask.
Yeah.
Which then creates an idea for action, because other people then consider something they hadn't considered.
Right.
Alright.
They're there to ask the obvious questions.
Because everyone else just assumes they've already been answered.
Which is really funny, because I cannot tell you how many jobs my friend and I have been in where we sat there and we've been like, okay, we know about this job. You know what? Screw it. We're just going to ask this question that I feel like is really obvious, but I'm going to ask anyway. We've blown people away a lot.
Where they're just like, wait, what?
Wait, what?
Or they try to explain something that should be super basic and they get nothing.
Yeah.
At any rate.
It does sound like the situation could go either way. Hopefully it won't cause too much trouble for you, no matter the outcome.
Thanks, Vil. It should be alright. I'll just keep a few eyes on them for a while.
Yistel's job seems busy at the best of times, and I can only imagine it grows more difficult during times of excitement, like around the eclipse. There aren't very many people who can handle the pressure of being the town's Overlook, especially since the Overlook pod is apparently a strain to operate.
Oof.
But Yistel's been loved by everyone since he took the job. Highly attentive and quick to respond, he's been key in maintaining the town's peace. Because he's able to spot troublemakers so quickly and send officials to stop them before too much damage is done, it's done a lot to discourage crime. Well, that, on top of being a all-around nice guy. The fabric finally comes undone, and I settle it on the table before digging through my pocket for the note.
Many corrections.
So many! Alright, it says here that you need 24 packets of salt today, correct?
Correct.
24. Yeastel doesn't eat the 24 packets of salt for himself. Oh, of course. As the community overlook, he's also in charge of keeping an eye out for people who are ill or injured or have fallen on hard times. Anyone who might have difficulty procuring their own salt. These 24 packets will be distributed to such people. We actually mentioned this before, where the Overlook honestly sounds like a far more... It's not just basically like a police force, it's actually trying to be more of a community support center. Like it said, this is literally the community Overlook, and going, I'm here to help you, I'm not here to, I'm here to give you resources, I'm here to, inspect and see how you're doing, I'm here to make sure that people aren't actually physically injuring each other or fighting a lot.
And not to, jump to conclusions, but to keep an eye on the tone of things. One of the things that's really interesting is Yeastel is effectively a form of police.
Yes.
But like basically the
more of a social
dispatcher.
worker, yeah.
I was gonna say, but also, yeah, all the things the police should be doing should have social programs for is, going giving food, giving resources, helping people when they're stuck in situations, and does all of that too, and it's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. Admittedly, because I'm a dirty red. It's the fact that I really believe, honestly, that Yeastel's position as it is really is not at all like what we have here in the United States, with the police really just there as enforcers of the law, not really there to help anybody.
So, when the whole ACAB movement began, there was a lot of discussion of defund the police, and a lot of the people who were still for social movement, but were against defund the police, said what we need to do is move the funding and training around in the police to create something more like this.
Yes.
Where you actually have police-employed social workers and police-employed people who do counseling, as well as who do de-escalation, as well as who do handle, mental illness and other things like that. Specialists who are made for all those jobs, not just a universal,
basically a military force, honestly. The police have so many weapons here in the United States. There's actually several, basically, police stations that actually even have tanks, and it's really bizarre.
And I really enjoy the approach here, where it's made clear that this is a law enforcement facility, and that they are trying to maintain order and prevent crime, and also that it is very much, a community support center, and it's not trying to be malicious or overbearing. It's really just, how can we just help people be, taken care of?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's a little more than usual, right? Is the eclipse causing any trouble? I lay out the salt packets in stacks of 4.
In a sense.
Yeastel gives a slightly sheepish laugh.
It's not trouble, but I wanted to ensure that people aren't struggling for salt during a time as joyous as the eclipse. I'll be giving out a little extra to people who are having a hard time.
And also going, it is an event. People should be able to participate.
And be able to celebrate. And if you would normally eat more, have a family meal, a feast, whatever, then
I would like you to be able to do that, yeah.
Reminds me of actually when I was young and poor, we actually had participated in some community outreach for giving Thanksgiving meals to people. And I was on the receiving end of several Thanksgiving meals of just going, normally everybody's enjoying a ton of food right now. And so we got it given to us because otherwise we wouldn't have it. We still would have had food, we weren't starving, but we never would have been able to go out and get the things for the holiday.
Yeah. My heart warms with admiration. It's really nice of you. I'm sure they'll really appreciate it. 6 stacks of 4, 24 packets of salt lay neatly on the table, and I make sure Yeastel's given it an approving nod before tying my bundle back over my shoulder.
Do we agree? We agree.
We agree. Is this good? Does it look right? Everything look like it's nice and neat and nothing's been contaminated?
Sometimes when I think about the salt packets, I try to picture the size of a block of salt. Like what would a meal be? And I'm kind of wondering if they're like half-pound blocks or something like that.
I don't even know. The thing is we have no idea how big Ville even is. Ville could be the size of a mountain.
Well, it's true. We have no idea how they are in reference to us, but we could think of in reference to themselves what their units of measurement might be.
Right.
Or the equivalent units of measurement.
Right.
Yeah. And I've been very curious once in a while of going, is it like holding a candy bar, like a block of soap? Is it like, a brick? Mm-hmm. Like a building brick or like a cinder block?
I've kind of thought that they're like the really large, basically bars of soap, excuse me.
I do tend to think bar of soap.
But honestly, actually with the package, so the package is the whole big huge package is the size of the thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I love the bar of soap.
Speaking of the eclipse, do you have any plans?
Everyone's so excited about the eclipse. I shake my head. No,
I'm really just working. Honest.
Probably like you, actually, it occurs to me. Not really. I might go out to watch it, I guess. Yeastel laughs gently. He has a raspy laugh, in contrast to his lilting voice.
You sound awfully unimpressed by the eclipse.
I guess I'm just pretty satisfied with where I am right now. I know the eclipse is supposed to be good luck if you're making any big decisions, but I don't have any decisions to make.
I'm not floundering about anything.
I feel really good with my life.
Honestly, it's really nice to have a protagonist that is like, I'm in a place where my life is good.
I feel comfortable.
And I'm like, I'm not struggling to try and reach one of my dreams. I'm just like here and I'm doing fine.
It's okay if I'm living in a day-to-day anime.
You know, slice of life.
It's my slice of life is all right. I shift the bundle on my shoulder, and it comes out like a shrug. Maybe if I try taking a different route on my delivery that day, I'll find a shortcut.
That would be nice. It would make your life a little easier, I suppose.
Do you have any plans?
So hi, and then since everyone's asking me,
yeah, right. Oh yeah, I do the polite thing. Do you have plans? There's a pause. Yeastel looks thoughtful, a finger tapping at his chin before his lips curve in a smile.
I have this really adorable view, though, of like, so Vil has described that they run on 4 feet, and I don't know how tall Vil is at all, but describing Yeastel is extremely tall, so you do this like crouch down and put your bag out, and then you put your bag back on, and you're ready to go running, so you're down there really small, looking way up at him. It's really cute.
You know what just occurred to me? I'm so sorry, but it just occurred to me.
What?
I really just like, I would love to see Hal and Miru redraw all the love interests from this game, because this came out a few years ago. And I know both of them,
they have progressed a lot.
Yeah, they have really progressed a lot. And I'm not like demanding anything. I just like, I think that would be really cool, just to see.
Maybe we could request one on Hal's stream.
That would be great. If you guys ever want to check out Hal's art, he's
on Twitch. We'll link him.
Yes, he's on CacoEthicArt, CacoEthicArt at Twitch.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the description of this video, so you can go find him if you do go to Twitch. His streams are a lot of fun. They're very cute, and they're
very chill.
He draws fast, and it's a very chill environment.
Yes.
All right. I'm still deciding. But you know, Vil.
Yeastel reaches out to touch my shoulder. Despite the hard bones of his fingers, the gesture is soft and comforting, squeezing just briefly before giving a tender pat and then pulling away.
The eclipse really is a special time. Not just because of the eclipse itself, but because everyone is so excited and happy. I don't think it would be a bad idea to take advantage of that unique energy in the air.
I give a small smile. All right. I'll give it some thought. Same position kind of as before. I'll think about it. Yeastel sees me off. Is it all right for you to leave your pod for so long?
It's all right for a few minutes. Taking short breaks helps keep my mind clear.
Don't you work yourself too hard. Even if everyone's depending on you, you shouldn't run yourself ragged.
Because then they can't depend on you, actually.
Yeah.
So there's this thing that I often mention in I'm just gonna say in a lot of like hero type context where someone's like, only I can save the day. And I'm going, if truly only you can save the day, you need to take care of yourself so you can keep saving the day.
Right.
Yes. Thanks. You too.
I grin. Don't worry, you helped me a lot by taking so much salt off my hands. My route's always easier after I visited you. Also, like, at the same time, I love that, like, again, soft implication that you still regularly overorders, basically. Or orders a lot, at least, going, I really want to help people.
Yeah, he's consistently putting funds towards feeding the community and making sure no one is going hungry, which I think is neat. It's also interesting that as an overseer, that he gets to have a part in that. And I would be interested, the breakdown of going overseer, you know, watches and obviously makes choices for what places need, you know, attention sent to them, whether it's, you know, officers or intervention or what have you, but also going, I'm going to be able to observe community needs from here as well and acquire resources for them. It'd be interesting to know, is that something that he is in charge of himself, or if that's like a group committee thing? And when he's like, does he have to go and basically request more funds for this? Or is it just you have access and we trust you? Because of basically the interview and function of the job.
And it might also depend on what it is. Like, he probably still has to log it, but it really would be one of those, here's all the stuff, I have other staff checking with me kind of thing. Like, who knows?
We're just keeping track of it, and as long as it seems fine, we're good.
Yeah, which I think is actually how a lot of places work. They go, yeah, you have access, that's fine. You know, as long as we don't see anything weird on the book. So I actually have unfortunate experience with this. But I'll just say really briefly, as long as there's nothing weird, for the most part, if people never go back to go check, it's actually really difficult for a lot of, like, human error is common. They really don't always notice when there's something wrong. And sometimes the fact that there's an absence of anything wrong is actually the problem.
It's too perfect.
Yeah.
Alright.
Route's always easier after I visited you. Yeastel raps out a laugh.
Well, I'm glad I could be of help to you. Though I should be the one thanking you for your work all the time.
Alright, I'll see you later, Yeastel.
Take care, Vil.
Yeastel waves as I start off at a light jog.
I like how he walks Vil down and is like,
It's really polite.
I'll combine my break with seeing you off and stuff. And again, like, the delivery position is very important, even while it's a very standard sort of thing. It's sort of like really delivering anything. And now that we've been in a pandemic, you know, it's delivery people are quite important.
Delivery people are incredibly important. I wave back. The Overlook Tower is docile without him at the cockpit. The towering antenna and mound of flesh just barely quivering. It's strange to see it so calm, which says a lot about how much I've grown used to Yeastel's constant presence keeping an eye on the city. He's a good guy. I hope he gets a day off sometime. He could probably use it. It only takes me a few paces to hit my stride, my posture lowering as I transition into my usual gallop. With that big delivery out of the way, the rest of the route is smaller deliveries. No problem. Here you go.
Thanks. Quick as ever, aren't you?
Just trying to be on time. Have a nice day.
You too, Vil.
Most deliveries go quickly. Just 1 or 2 salt packets to drop off along with a brief greeting. I'm having issues today.
You could just slow down a little.
For people who aren't at home, I have to drop their salt into the usual delivery box out in front of their door. It's nicer doing personal deliveries since I like saying a brief hello to my clients. But it can't be helped. Everyone has things to do. Even me.
And we don't have infinite time anyway, but I like that Vil thinks about it. It's kind of charming that Vil is like, I'm basically doing a social check-in with everyone every day as well.
You know what killed... Again, I will say this, like, I think a lot of the stories where I have really connected a lot, at least to the tone that the people are going for, is really, even when you don't know a character, but you really do see them go, I'm going through a process, even if it's something I know how to do. I'm still talking about how it works. I'm still talking about the things that I find to be important. I'm still making a deliberate choice for every action that I take. It is that I am comfortable and I am familiar, but I still am trying to keep myself on task. And that is very personal to me, because I've always done that in practically everything I do. Because with my brain and the way that I've ever functioned, I really do have to be like, okay, this is where I am, this is my task, this is what I'm doing, here's every little thing.
So you have to have lists and things like that. At most of the jobs I've ever had, people will say you're very organized, you remember everything. And the thing is I remember almost nothing, but I write it all down, and I have systems for writing it down so that I can shorthand, like, pull it out and get to it really quickly, or so that I know where that information is kept. Pockets, aprons, you know, that kind of thing are all really useful for having, like, little notebooks and stuff.
Yes.
But one of the things I really like about here is it doesn't feel like Vil is just doing exposition for the sake of exposition. It sounds like they're talking through their process.
Yes.
Which is, as my friend described, something we both do, of going, what I'm doing next is this. And it's not like, and then you have to talk to people, or you just do talk to people. It's a deliberate choice of, I'm gonna see each of these people and think about who they are and like this interaction every day.
It's even like in regards to doing something very casual, or at least I guess what some people might interpret as very casual, where at least for me when I do art, I really do have to think about almost everything that I'm doing, and it's this very deliberate process. And even though sometimes I'm left with I got that done, how the hell did I do that? It is well, you did talk yourself through it, but it is it's learning the thing over and over and over again, even though I've done it thousands of times.
Okay, so just recently, we were listening to American Gods by Neil Gaiman.
Yes!
And the like definitive, full voice cast edition. And it's really good. It's really quite good for full voice casting. A lot of them sound sort of like muddy and crowded. This one sounds great.
Yeah.
But in the introduction, he talked about after he wrote the book, he talked to one of his author friends, and he's like, I think I finally learned how to write a book. And the other friend was like...
Very gently and very kindly.
Very softly, was just like, you never learned how to write a book. You only learn how to write the book you're writing.
Yes.
And I think art is a lot that way too. You don't really necessarily always learn to do art. You learn how to make the art piece you're making.
Yes, exactly.
So there we are.
Everyone has things to do.
Thanks, Phil.
Honey Salt, huh? Planning on doing something special for the eclipse?
I love this gooey, like, caramel tentacle monster.
Lobo is so much fun.
Lobo is just wonderful. Yup. Thinking of throwing a bit of a party.
Glad I could get you your salt safely then.
I appreciate it. You be careful on your route now. You hear?
Will do.
Also, Lobo has very nice teeth.
Very startlingly nice teeth.
Like white, straight, clean, brilliant teeth. Hello. Lobo has a nice smile.
Everyone seems happy. It's nice. It's a nice day. My next delivery is a few blocks away, but I can cut through the park. And now we're gonna cut through the park to show you the park!
Yay!
Yay!
And we will cut through the park in the next one!
Hey! So thank you very much everybody for joining us. If you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, interact with them please. It actually does a lot for us in regards to the YouTube algorithm. Please also feel free to go check out our Ko-fi, Patreon, and our Twitch.
Yes.
We have some links in the description down below, including those ones to Hal,
Yep.
and possibly also Miru, but we will also be linking to Ink Trashing's page as well if you're ever curious about their projects. But yeah, other than that, I have been Scandal.
And I love how you can actually see both of this, like a couple of the suns back here and through the day. It's really nice. And I have been Lies. And it was great playing with you. Bye!